Ladies and gents, welcome back. I hope everyone had a happy Canada Day. And I know some people out there are having a happier Canada Day because of, well, people coming together in this country. This started off with a story about a person who was denied medical intervention, even going all the way up to the Supreme Court, not even seeing the case here. But things come very much better in this case when you see how many Canadians will come to the aid of people who are, being forgotten or pushed aside by our institutions here in the country. And this is the story of Sheila Annette Lewis, who needed an organ transplant, was on the top of the list for this transplant, and was subsequently denied because of medical status when it comes to the vaccine policies in our country. Now, many Canadians have come together to donate to this cause to make sure that she can get the help that she needs. And so I decided, why not talk to the person herself? And well, here's Sheila herself. Welcome to the show, Sheila. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Now, how's this whole story go? You were on the top of the list, and I understand there's a publication ban, so maybe right out of the gates, just tell us how that works and what you are and aren't allowed to talk about.
Okay, and the publication ban, the lower courts had put the publication ban on me at the doctors that from the transplant team had asked the lower courts to put it on. So the courts abided by it, and so I have a publication ban on the doctor's names, the location of the hospital, the name of the hospital, and the name of the organ that I need transplanted.
Right.
So I can't mention.
So you can't talk about those things in this.
No, they kind of silence me on that stuff.
And I think that's, yeah, I mean, I find that to be a bit egregious. You're not even allowed to talk about your own personal situation medically. Now, tell us about how this went. You started off, you were already on the list of recipients at the time that the COVID-19 vaccination requirements came to be. And then how did you become aware that you've been taken off the list? At what point did you become aware of this?
Well, they had told me if I didn't take the COVID-19 vaccine, the doctors, they had said if I didn't take it that I would be removed from the top tier of the list down to status 0. Status 0 means inactive. They are no longer looking. So I didn't take it. But if I chose to take it, they would keep me where I was at and try to give me my transplant.
So from what I understand, you actually went above and beyond what might have been required of you. You actually went and got yourself tested for antibodies to see if you would even need to have a vaccine. And how did that go?
Well, I asked the transplant doctors if they would do the test on me, if they would do a natural immunity test on me. I asked them 3 different occasions, and each time they said no, they didn't do it anymore. And I asked them if they could just send the requisition in to the lab then, and I would pay for it myself. But they still wouldn't do it. So I went ahead and got it done on my own. One of the ladies that really helps me a lot in the background, Tanya Rowland, she had got me in touch with the doctor in BC that does testing for natural immunity, which is through Connects. Dr. Stephen Pellich, and he got the testing to me. I done the test, sent it back into him, and he did the testing, and it came out that I had natural immunity twice and very high antibodies of it, which he said it was extremely dangerous if I even got the vaccination. If I got the COVID-19 shot, it would be very dangerous for me at this point.
Well, at the very least, you wouldn't need it if you have natural immunity. Not. So it's not a risk that you were willing to take in that scenario. So ultimately, they said you can't have this procedure, the transplant surgery. Now, you decided how did you come to the conclusion that you could go to the United States and have this done?
Well, when I went to court, I took the transplant doctors to court, and I asked the courts to overturn the decision of the doctors because it was such a high risk for me to take the vaccine, which was told to me quite a long while ago by two different doctors. They studied vaccines for a living one for 30 years and the other one for 35 years. I knew what they were talking about. I mean, when you study vaccines for a living that long, you pretty well know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So they told me it was a huge risk for me to even take the vaccine. And there's spike protein in it. And also because of the millions of nanoparticles that were in the vaccine, it would damage a lot of my cells. Because the nanoparticles, there's millions and millions and millions of nanoparticles in it. And it would hit my cells and it would do a lot of damage.
So at what point did you decide that going to the United States was the way around this?
After the Supreme Court of Canada denied the ruling, denied to hear my case.
Well,
and it was kind of in the air because I think I kind of knew the way it was going to go. My lawyer actually didn't have a lot of faith in it, in the Supreme Court of Canada. But we were hoping. There was always hope. The lower two courts, they denied me, of course. So Supreme Court, we were hoping, because that's what the Supreme Court of Canada is for, right? It's for the Canadian people to help. But they denied even hearing it. So then there was no choice. It was either try to get a hospital in the United States or die. Because that's exactly what they told me, the doctors. They said if I didn't take the vaccine, that I was going to die. And I will, because it's you can't reverse it. It's fatal, the disease that I have.
Right. And wow, that's really tough news to have delivered to you. Absolutely. Now the story kind of turns around here. I mean, the big thing here is Canadians have come together to help you out in this scenario, and at this point,
it's amazing.
We're at you initially you had your Give, Send, Go set up for $100,000 for the testing that you need. Now,
correct. That's for the testing alone.
Right, and Canadians have come forward and went above that, yes. And we're already at $110,000 on that donation.
It's simply amazing,
and it's still going. And now, so the request here is for the $600,000 it would have cost to do the entire procedure. Move forward to that. Now, have you made arrangements for the testing to go forward now that the money has been raised?
Yes, the hospital. We're working with the hospital in the United States, like in Texas. We're working with them, and we're just waiting. They had a meeting on Thursday, and they were supposed to get back to me Thursday or Friday, but I guess because of the long weekend, and in the States it's the long weekend on the 4th, but when we called, it was closed. That department was closed, so we're hoping to hear from them this week. So just a little setback, a little delay. I mean, like I said, it's a major holiday in the States as well.
Right.
So a lot of them take the week off or whatever, but hopefully we hear back from them the first of the week or Tuesday even, or I guess in the States, when the 4th is, I guess that will be Tuesday. So Wednesday we're even looking at. Hopefully we hear back from them by Wednesday or so and get the ball going. But it sounded good, and they got all my medical records. They already went over them, and they made a chart, and they got everything in order, and we're just waiting for a date.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, it's really heartwarming to hear that everybody's come together for you and your family, and are continuing to do so. And that's what I think was the biggest thing that caught my eye on this whole story, because we've been hearing so much bad news in Canada for so long, and to hear these types of stories, this is really what I like to bring
It is,
forward.
and there's so many messages. Like there's so many prayers and messages, and messages of hope, and like even on the site, on the Give, Send, Go site, they put the messages, and it's very heartwarming and very caring, and you really couldn't ask for nicer messages than what I'm getting on it. And people are really coming together, and it's just something you never thought possible. Especially to me, that's a lot of money. And especially, they raised that within, it's less than a month.
Hmm.
They raised it. And it's just simply amazing to me how the Canadians have come together and are donating. And there's people from the States as well that are donating. I think Viva Fleur, when he did his, I guess that attracted some from the States and whatnot. So
Well, I'm hoping I can attract some more as well by putting this video out there as well. Now,
yeah,
Sheila, is there something that you'd like to say back to all the people that have donated and given to you in this case?
definitely. Like there's no word of thanks, or there's no way of even saying how much you appreciate what they've done. Like someday I just pray to God I can, if I get through all this and get the surgery and heal, I can pay it forward somehow. And I know my goal. I know what that is. After, I get the surgery and get better, I know the goal I want is to be able to help people in the same situation I'm in, and I will do it. It's just a matter of getting there. And I will, it's like I just want to give back to people that gave to me in some way, pay it forward. So that's the way I want to do it. I want to be able to help people that are down and out need help like I did, and be a force behind them, like the Canadians are being a force behind me. And it's a force. I've never seen the likes. I really haven't.
Sheila Annette Lewis, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me on. God bless.